Hey, I'm on the show too. This is like the State Street montage. This is like the heart of Delaware County. At least we didn't get hit by. We did that. Hey, Pinocchios! Gotta stop by Wawa and eat off the trash can because that's what you do. Delco After Dark. Come on, join us for a little bit. Singer-songwriter series, right here on Twitch and Facebook, right now.
$10,000 to sit at home.
There we go.
Teach a class.
Taxi in the back of a taxi or something. Are these taxi confessions? I remember that came out.
Oh yeah.
That
And I remember the taxi game show. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
Or the confessions in the back of a taxi or something like that.
It was a Cash Cab.
Cash Cab.
Cash
Because
Cab.
I wanted to go on Cash Cab so bad because it'd be up in New York and I could get that money, and then I'm like, oh, I can afford to actually see a show on Broadway now.
Everything's just. Hey everybody! Wait, where am I? Normally I do a great big introduction, but it's been 2 weeks, so I've forgotten how to do all this stuff. Plus we redid the studio, and hopefully things will work. We'll.
Thursday night.
Yeah. Well, I'm like next Thursday, I think I have a meeting with like Jesse and Susan Breyer. Yeah, they want to do either this or the podcast version of this.
Cool.
And
now, do you do a Halloween version of this?
Oh,
Halloween night version?
shoot! I should have done.
And you know what tonight is, right? You've seen it. Look outside, right?
It's Mischief
It's
night.
the full moon. No, Mischief Night's the 30th.
I believe last night was the full moon, so it's like the
Oh, I
next
thought it was the
day.
28th was the full moon. Yeah.
Only because my mom's a teacher and she said, I definitely know it was a full moon.
But what is
today.
it right before full moon? Can anybody name?
Is it a blue moon, harvest moon?
No, it's a waxing gibbous before it becomes full moon.
I thought that
There you go.
I thought that was a monkey.
You learn
Yeah,
stuff.
no, that's a gibbon.
Oh, waxing gibbon.
No, the harvest moon was last month, at the end of September.
But
And my wife's watching that, and she's gonna be impressed because she's the one that told me that it was a waxing gibbous tonight.
There we go.
that's cool. Nobody's chatting yet. They're being real quiet. So should we do the Phillies thing first?
We can do. I mean, this is your show, man. I'm just here along for the ride.
See, this man. You had season tickets.
I have Sunday season tickets. One of the bonuses of the Sunday season tickets is I went to my fair share. And
Should we let the cat in?
Yeah, I guess
We let the cat out of the bag.
Come on. He's very. Well, he loves. That's Little Cat. He's like the honorary. He's like, what do you call it?
the mascot.
Thank you. That's exactly.
It's your little Philly fanatic.
He is.
Since
He
we're
is.
talking about the Phillies.
He is. He loves to come around and like lean in and make sure that he's known. What's up?
He's the enforcer.
Yeah, he is.
Sure
He
that
sort of is.
Everybody's on the up and up, and
Because, but Lee and I went to like a Phillies game like last year. It was like June or something. I forget when it was, and we're just like roaming around the park, and all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, Steve's like, "Carl!"
Yeah.
Just like, you know, and what does it hold? Like 50,000 people or something?
About
crazy?
45,000. So
Yeah. So
close
and
to
it was pretty full. I mean, it wasn't totally full, but it was pretty full. And then all of a sudden, Steve comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here all the time with my mom. And
Yeah.
we watch
Yeah.
just all the time." And that was last year.
Yeah. Well, I've had season tickets pretty regularly. There was a 4 to 6 year bump where I didn't have them because I was in the marching band, and Ryan my high school used to give out the giveaways until they went to the old people, which is, give them something to
Oh.
do as well.
Oh shit.
But probably since around 89 or 91, I've had season tickets since then, and they've always been Sunday tickets.
Now, did you go to the World Series at all last year?
Yes, that was. I went to actually all 3 home games of the World Series. I saw 1 win and I saw 2 losses. So last year I was not the good luck charm, but this year I was. Yeah, I got to last year I missed more than I saw because I had a lot of shows going on, and my boss at the place I'm working now is also production manager for Fringe Festival, and she also works as a TD for Nazareth Academy. So she was out. Like, I had to be at work. There was no choice. I'm low man on the totem pole. I don't blame her. I just couldn't go. Like, I would have had tickets for the Bedlam at the Bank game. Like, my mom was at that game. Someone else had my ticket. I would have been at that game. So,
All right.
but I can live on the fact that in '08, I was there when the Phillies won the World Series. Like, I was in the ballpark watching them win the World Series.
Oh, and
Yeah.
that was in
In '08.
in 08, right?
Yeah.
Or like 7 or I can't remember when. I remember when they won in 80.
When they beat the Rays.
Yeah. It was the rain delay game that
Oh,
got
yeah.
continued. So I was at both
That
of
was
them.
crazy.
I was at both of them. Yeah. And it was a weird weekend for family, but we were there for all of that. So
Nice.
Yeah.
But that was then, and this is now. So
Hey.
what do you? I mean, what do you think? Because they pretty much crushed the Braves, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
and the Braves were number one,
the
right?
Braves, the Marlins, and then the first two
I mean, the
games.
Braves are there every single year forever, right?
Yeah, and just like the Braves, they can't get out of the round that they're in. That's fantastic. But yeah, they crushed the first two games until they went to Arizona, and I guess that plane ride, something happened where they just went cold. I mean, there was the one game, like, I don't blame them for losing because they lost two games in Arizona. The first game that they lost, it happens. It was a 2-1 game. Nobody was hitting.
Little cat.
But the second game, when it was just mismanagement of the bullpen, but like if they had won that game, they won the next game. They wouldn't even come back here to play a series. They would have just been waiting for whoever they play in the World Series. Like,
Oh wow, because it would either been like Houston, both in Texas.
Yeah.
So they would have just hung out there.
yeah, and so like they blew the best chance. Like, they had a game, they were up 5-2 in like the 7th or 8th inning, and they gave up the runs, and So the only thing, like, I've had this discussion that I have a lot of people in my life that can be negative about sports. The only reason why I'm upset about this is because I really enjoyed this team. It's been a long time since I've enjoyed a team as much as I enjoyed this team. Like, it was just fun it was just fun going to the ballpark. Even when they weren't winning, they were fun to watch.
That's what I've heard that from some people that like, what's his name? Who's the
Bryce Harper?
yeah, like everyone says like everyone loves to watch him. Just there's something always happens. Even if nothing happens,
Yeah.
something happens. He's the only one that got the run in that, like, game 6 or whatever. He stole home, I think, right? Was that game 5?
Game.
One of
did
them,
steal home, but he got-
that was the only run they got.
It was
That's the call.
It was the last. It was
a wild pitch,
The last
right? Yeah.
win in Arizona, he had the
okay.
delayed steal to get home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this whole team was just exciting, and that's what was kind of more the bummer of the last two games was they just weren't exciting. And like,
Well, they kept stranding runners on the bases.
yeah, but like
too.
you just like even when they weren't winning before, like in the regular season or even the game they lost against Atlanta, you could just see an energy even when they were losing. They had a belief. Those last two games was almost like we don't know where we're going to get this. Like it just was, they weren't having as much fun, and I think that was the big issue. I don't know why. They didn't play well, and Arizona played better, unfortunately.
Oh.
And that's why I'm not watching the World Series, because
And that's why we have him here tonight.
Well-
He was scheduled for last week.
yeah.
Because for the first time in like 3 years, we didn't do 2 of these in a row. Because who the hell was going to watch us? I mean, I get like 5 people anyway. You know,
The theater had the same problem.
It builds. I know it builds up over the week, but on the night of it, like everyone, even I'd be like, I'd be watching the Phillies out of the corner.
I told Carl I'd be like this. I'd be like, yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you
The
say? Yeah,
theater stuff. That's great.
Star
Yes,
Wars.
yes, go.
Random Star Wars thing.
Random Star Wars thing. But that's the end of that. So we're excited about the Eagles now? Is that the sports
The
ball we're
Eagles.
gonna-
The Eagles did play very well. Their last game, they played very well against a good team.
The Dolphins, right?
Yeah, the Dolphins. They're. I mean, it's probably the most complete game, even though they had 2 turnovers that they've played all season. So they're on the upswing. I am an eternal optimist when it comes to my sports. So like, I always think my team's going to win. But I'm also like, I don't live and die. Like, if they don't win it, I'm not gonna go home and cry about it. Like, it's sports. It's not supposed to be easy.
But yeah, as a Philly fan, you have to be an eternal optimist. Otherwise, you'll just,
You would think so, but
cry yourself to sleep.
But I have so many. What I equate, and I could get in trouble for this, is when the Phillies get to the playoffs, all of the casual Philly fans that are more football fans start treating the Phillies like like it's a football team. So like whenever they lose a game, like in a series, it's the end of the world, and the manager is terrible. Meanwhile, this manager, now I will say he did not manage well towards the end of the Arizona series. Not going to get, but like the one loss against Atlanta, they were killing him. Like, oh, he's terrible. He's the worst manager of all time.
Yeah.
It's one game. Like he got him to the playoffs, and he majority.
Also, they weren't doing great at the beginning of the season.
No,
right?
no, and well, that's also I attribute that to. They didn't have Rhys Hoskins for this season, who's a big energy guy. And at the beginning of the season, they didn't have Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper is also a big energy guy. When they got Bryce back and they started to get a little bit more energy, and then they just found energy everywhere else. And also Rhys Hoskins would go in the dugout. Like, it was nice to see him in there. He was cheering them on. There was a chance that he was going to be able to come back to the playoffs. But they just, he was off too long. They were like, we don't want to send in a cold Rhys Hoskins to the playoffs. So... yeah, but I mean, I'm on to next season. We'll win the World Series next year. We're good.
Yay.
It's no fun being like the Yankees back in like when Babe Ruth and all them, or even in the late '90s, early 2000s. Like, it should be hard to win the World Series. So it's good. It's more fun when you finally get to that mountaintop. You can be like, all those years of pain. It's the only way I can get through it.
Yeah, when you have 10 years in a row, by the time you get to the 10th year, you're like,
It's legitimately the only way I can get through it. Like when the Eagles finally won that Super Bowl, like all those years of like watching the Cowboys win or watching every other team, the Patriots, I was like, finally, like it was just like a weight came off my chest. I was like, this is great. I was like, this is awesome. And then we did Tommy and Me that year, so I was like, we were living in that world of Eagles with Ray Didinger. I was like, this is awesome. Like
When we did the Ray thing, and yeah, by the way, yeah, it's on the New Folk page. Do me a favor, share that with Dad. This is a whole new setup because of just redid the porch, so I kind of figured it defaulted to New Folk. But when we that season that we had, like, Tommy and me, and like we would have special guest stars come in. I don't know if you saw that. Who's the one guy that came in and he's like, who wants to wear the Super Bowl ring? Like the whole audience, like he let people hand it, like, like, here you go, here you go. Like it was a collection plate.
It was a skeleton kind of ring or something.
It just makes it much more exciting when you have to go through all that. I have a friend who is now the head of security he was a senior when I was a freshman in high school, who is now the head of security at the Phillies. He has a World Series ring from '08. And he brought it to a reunion. Like every year they have like a Ryan Makes Waves where they all go down the shore. And he brought it. He was wearing it to the reunion. And everybody was trying it on. And I was like, I can't try that on, man. And he goes, wow. I was like, you'll never see me again. I'll put that on and there'll be a dust cloud shaped Steve. Like it'll be like a Looney Tunes. You'll never see me again. And I'm not even that fast.
There goes Steve in the ring. Yeah, right.
But like there's a picture of my mom.
You have a right to remain silent, though, once you get caught.
And then you're just gone.
But it's just like seeing it, like, because up until then, all I had was like the Sixers losing in the championship, the Eagles losing against the Patriots, the Phillies losing against Toronto, which will always break my heart a little inside.
Is that the one with like back in like
1993, Joe Carter,
Croc and all those guys?
Yeah. Joe Carter hits a home run in the bottom of the ninth to win the World Series for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's when my childhood died. Oh. Because I was 12 years old at the time, and I was like, everything was going the way life should go. Good things happen.
Grass is green, sky is blue.
Phillies are winning.
And they're winning. And
over.
Mitch Williams throws a slider. I believe it was a 3-1 slider to Joe Carter, and he just lands it over the fence and Steve became an adult.
Stole your
that
dreams
day.
at 12 years of age. Everything was bitter after that.
Life is terrible.
Yes, it's
Life-
good to learn that lesson early though.
Life
a lot
is
of people
cruel.
go through for a while, and they hit it like 20, 25. It's good to just
Yeah.
knock it down your adolescence age, you know?
Destroy it when you're when
Yeah, it's
you're
better
not
that
even
way.
in puberty yet.
Yeah.
Started drinking coffee, smoking unfiltered cigarettes.
You know, I didn't drink coffee until I started working at the Media Theater.
I don't drink coffee, but I almost drank some heavier stuff when I started working at the media theater.
Well, that's a whole other issue. Are we getting into that already so soon? I mean, I feel like we should
That's what people in the business call it, transition.
transition.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't, but most of you don't know that since I've been working there have been 5 production managers. Of course, there's a time previous to me. You know,
Well, not really. I mean, does that really count?
I don't, not in my book.
Carl, I mean,
PC,
before Carl.
actually,
BCP?
I did actually
Not be
attend.
confused with PCP.
I did attend a show there with my kids before I ever even thought of working there, and it was Seussical. I saw Seussical there with my kids. I was not tremendously impressed.
It was the
And you're like,
sound
I
guy,
want to
wasn't
work here.
It was the sound guy, wasn't it? You're just
It
like,
was the sound guy.
No, well, actually, I wasn't a sound guy then. I'm really late to the game when it actually be a sound guy. I'm a musician and I could run.
Carl
sound.
gets very upset because everybody says they like to see a show. I told the students a couple weeks ago that everybody says they like to hear a show.
Yeah, well, but the other joke is, no one goes away humming the lights,
Right.
Unless you've got some very loud.
But our lights do hum.
Well, no,
or
one is a
bad light.
cricket.
yeah.
There's one
our
that's a
lights.
cricket.
Yes. Well, we were at the Walnut Street and we passed by the mic guy, the sound guy, and I told him, "Nice
He's
job."
right. He's right. Like
He's
you
right
could
there. We
pat him on
actually
the
watched
head.
him. We watched him, and it was great. So you could see him perk up because I don't think anybody really knows what he does, let alone the fact that I knew
And
what
he's
he
all
did, and
alone
I
up
thanked
there.
him. Well, he looked like he had somebody shadowing him that might have been doing so, but yeah, he's kind of out on an island with the audience. If people don't like it, they can blame him not knowing who he is. But I do stop by as I go by. I say, "Nice job, really sounded good." So, I mean, that's for you, Carl.
I was
Sure.
lucky enough to see a show on Broadway, the very last show of a run, and they brought everybody out. Like the whole cast came out, but they brought out the crew, which I made the joke that the crew really didn't want to get out because they were just like, we just want to go, we want to get done,
pack
and go.
up and go home.
But
It's
when they
just like-
came out, like everybody like clapped. But when everybody died down, I'm in the back of the theater, I'm like, yeah, crew, and you just see them like, oh, what's this?
Somebody knows what we do.
Somebody actually appreciates it. It's so rare. Well, the one when you and I were doing the class for the kids, the one thing I never got around to is like I was going to do like a mock sort of like, hey everybody, how's it going? What's your name? And like your kid be like, Will. I'm like, no one cares what your name is. You shouldn't know. You shouldn't. Tech should never talk. You should never be seen. You should never be heard.
Why aren't you
What's
wearing
your
black?
name? What's your name? Maud. Don't care. Nobody wants to know who you are.
It doesn't. No.
What's your name?
I'm afraid to tell you.
Why doesn't this prop work? Well, because nobody cares why the prop doesn't work. We just want it to work next time because that was the thing back when we were doing. I think it was Wizard of Oz. It was a prop or something. Wizard of Oz. And Christine, I think Jesse started with props because there was a couple missing, or there was something, or there was no basket for the whatever. Or I
There
don't
are
know
no
what-
ruby slippers.
I don't know what the
ruby
fuck
slippers.
I don't know what the fuck it was, but it's the classic defending why something doesn't work, or well, this is that because that wasn't there and this person didn't do that. Directors don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit, and they nor should they give a shit. Or like why wasn't their mic on for what's his name? Sorry, that was me. I farted. That was me. It'll be fixed. It will be fixed next time. That's all they care about.
Yeah, right.
Because she started defending that, and I tell the story all the time. And I'm like, no, don't do that. And that just took Jesse to the next level. He's like, and I'm like, no, this is the oh no,
Oh, this is going down.
we're all gonna get shit on for the rest. Oh no.
Why doesn't the carpet stay in place?
Why doesn't somebody give props to the props?
Oh,
people,
why
you
isn't
know?
the bed spinning in Baby? Oh, I don't
on a
know.
little remote control? Yeah, I was waiting for that bed to just to get to like go haywire and go right out in the audience.
That would be awesome. Boom. I mean, that'd be horrible. You know, that's my
And the 20 people who saw it that day would be like, "Oh my god!"
The 20 people that saw it that day. Yeah. What's the smallest audience you've ever seen in that theater? I can tell you mine. Julius Caesar. 17.
And that
4
might,
left.
that might actually
Was that your year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that was
bad.
the year that we changed the tagline, and it changed the entire show because originally it was supposed to take place in like pre-World War II fascist Italy. And then
Really?
we were in a production meeting, and Patrick and Jesse said, because I guess they had discussed it, Patrick and Jesse said, we want the tagline, we want on the marquee to be "Make Rome Great Again." Honest to God, so I was like, all right.
So you got it on the ladder?
I call because I was like,
We
I
now
just want
scaffolding.
them. I want Matthew Miller to know ahead of time, and I want the director to know ahead of time this is what's going to go on the marquee. Matthew scraped his entire design, and it became like a post-apocalyptic United States. So the show then became post everything, and then all of a sudden Jesse and Patrick come to me and go, "Why is this the set? It was supposed to take place in Italy." I was like, "Because you changed the tagline. Like you can't have the tagline be 'Make Rome Great Again' and not have it take place in America." So I had to sit in. The scariest thing ever was putting that marquee up because I'm on the ladder and and I got people yelling at me on both sides of the aisle. I got hardcore Republicans, hardcore Democrats yelling at me out of the car.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I was fully expecting somebody to be so pissed off that on that uneven sidewalk that they were going to kick the ladder out from underneath me. And I had to do both sides because both sides had to make Rome great again, and then the middle had something else. And then I also had to sit in some of the rehearsals to make sure that there were no allusions to our former president. Because they didn't want it to be overtly against.
Well, yeah, but
yes, but they also did it like there was a point where like we were gonna the Julius Caesar was gonna throw paper towels, and I was like, I don't think you can do that, man. But like anything else, and I was like, as long as it is not overtly something that happened during this man's tenure in office, we can do it as long as it's not overt. But if it's something that like is over, I was like, we can't do it, and I had to sit there. And I believe it was Bill Van Horn was the director, and Bill Van Horn, like this, he's great director. I don't like
So you were the anti-dramaturge, like
Yeah.
you were the person that said,
Like
no, you.
like the person who's like,
That's too period. It's too accurate. You need to unaccurate it.
I was like,
Accurate.
and I
Deaccurate?
something like
Inaccurate?
deaccurate.
and I felt like Bill just was like, at one point he was like, fine, whatever. Like anytime I was like,
whatever.
The first one he argued with me, and I was like, I'm just the messenger. Like I don't even want to sit in here. Like you guys, like the set was built like it was the show after Wizard of Oz. I was ready to just sit in the tech office and just do plans for Beehive and just like take it easy because everything was going real nice and smooth for this one. And I had a Julius Caesar character. Just remember, everybody that gets him gets theirs in the end. Like if that's who you're connecting with, I was like, this is
Everybody.
They are dead.
I believe the only reason we didn't cancel it is because we had a ton of.
So
she's
he's
Mark
like, there's Mark Anthony. There's a thunderstorm here, and I was like, all right. He's like, do you have any thunders? I'm like, Bill, I'm a sound guy. I've got this is
What kind
where
of thunder do you want?
This is where I fucked up. I went, Bill, I got 26 thunders.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, okay. That scene
Had all 26.
on very specific words. Sarah Gaffigan can tell you that when because she was on lights and I was on sound, and the Q Lab didn't match. I mean, it was a sound Q Lab and a lights Q Lab, so we had to be like 1, 2, womp. And I say, this is a forthwith thou and the commodious, boom. And it would be very specific. For like 3 pages, we just, 26 thunders, baby. 26. I'll never forget it. I'm keeping my mouth shut next time. I have 2 phone rings, Jesse. You can pick one.
Well, I will always say one of the coolest things that I've ever seen or heard. One of the coolest things I've ever heard in a show, and it's the only time I've ever voted for the Philadelphia Theater Awards that everybody can vote for. Was Carl was nominated for Saturday Night Fever, and one of the coolest things, and it was just he had it where when you're in the club it was nice and loud, but the club music kept happening when they went outside, so it was just muffled with street sounds. And stuff like that.
I just put them through the
But,
subs.
like,
so
this-
you're outside. It's like,
the same exact noise though, and it was just like just the thought of that. I was like, I'm voting for Carl.
I saw that. I think I saw that. Show.
yeah, it was really
That
neat.
was that season 2. That was
The back end of that season
many
was
shows did you guys
fantastic.
do that
We
season?
did 5.
Wow.
Not including any of the kids shows or any of the special stuff. We did Sweeney, which I think I'm not a fan of Sweeney, but they did a good production.
It was a good production, and the set was the biggest set we've ever built. I mean, Spamalot comes close. Spamalot might be bigger than that, but it's and all the time
was
I've been
pretty
there.
big.
Yeah, I've heard Jekyll and Hyde was like super big.
Yes. It was basically the rent set, except it moved. Like the whole scaffolding, everything.
Oh yeah, the rent set was beautiful. I mean, I've liked every set that I've seen there, except for the one that I worked on, which was the Wizard of Oz set. Like the Wizard of Oz set, there were too many cooks in that kitchen. I didn't have the resources, but also as a young TD, because not a young TD, a new TD, because that was the year after, because I went back to school late. That was the first job I had out of school, so I was about like 38 years old.
Sounds familiar with the media theater.
The first job I had out of school, and I'm doing the tech directing and the production. I didn't have enough backbone to say no sometimes but there was way too many cooks in the kitchen, and I was trying to get everything done. And it wasn't great. The set wasn't great, at least in my opinion, but we had a fantastic cast. The band was great. So
Also on stage for no adequately explored reason.
Oh, it was because the director,
Mark
wanted he wanted it to have a concert feel.
Like a big band sort
No,
of?
more like, you know how like with the Les Mis, like the 10th anniversary, like how the band's behind them. But while all the action's going on, he wanted the band on stage so that it had that feel of like, hey, And thank God they weren't backstage, because we had so many moving pieces in the backstage.
Well, you had panels for that. Like,
Yeah.
there were these like, and depending on how many actors were there, because we kept losing actors for some reason. They kept falling into like a ditch or something, or getting sick, or I don't know. So we'd have like, there were 5
Is that what that
panels.
funny smell is in the basement?
There's lots of them.
God bless Tim, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's with the theater right now. I believe he took over as artistic director.
Oh, Christian.
Christian
Yeah.
was the dance captain, and that's actually how I recommend. Like I was like, I don't know, but you got to keep him here, because him and Tim, like, because we had people dropping off left and right, so we'd only have like, there was one night I think we had 2 people to move panels. So like he would literally go and like, this is how we're going to choreograph the panels. There was one show where we had 6 panels, 3 didn't move for the entire show.
Yeah,
because we
we would go like, this is a 2-panel day, this is a 3-panel day. I had walk in, I go, what is it today, Tim? And he goes, a 2-panel day.
But God bless the 2 of them. I mean, like I said, the cast.
See, I didn't know Christian really helped out with that. That's pretty cool.
It was between Tim and Christian. Like Tim and Christian would get together before the show when Christian found out who wasn't going to be there, and they would go, this is how we're gonna make it work. And it was just like, let's make it work. And even the backups for people were amazing, because I believe, not talking out of turn, I don't know why, but Jenny Eisenhower had to leave the show halfway through the show.
Oh yeah.
And then
what was that?
The Dorothy was a high school kid. So when school was in session, she couldn't be there, or like there were certain nights where the mom was just like, she's not coming in tonight. So the backup for her and the cast kept rolling with all the punches, so I will give them all the credit in the world. But accidentally my name was not put in the program as the technical director.
That never happens.
And they Roger, Patrick, and Jesse called me down. I thought I was in trouble because I remember that set, so I was like, they're gonna get rid of me.
Unfortunately, it killed me.
Unfortunately, they didn't. But they called me down to the office and they said, we have really bad news. We accidentally forgot to put your name in the program, but we could put a little insert. I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, if people remember, that's fine, but I'm not worried about.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
And then it was the infamous carpet that killed me every single time, because normally I wouldn't have to stay there for the shows. I had to be there for every show until at least after intermission, because the carpet kept sliding down. So even after intermission, I would grab the carpet, because we had these 2 yellow brick road carpets. I would grab each carpet
came down each aisle
after intermission, and I would literally just pull the carpet till it was flat again. But
Straighten out the yellow brick road. Yeah.
But I was there for every single show because of that.
Just to do that.
So, I mean, like I would every other.
So you're just the carpet man.
Every other show,
the carpet man.
for that
Carpet
year,
man.
I would be there at least until the show started, in case there was any problems. That if I had to help, troubleshoot anything, I would be there.
That one for no adequately explicit reason.
But that was the one that I had to stay until at least after intermission, because then the last one I could.
Oh yeah, we'd have to straighten those out all the time.
And there, I think there was one that I wasn't there, and somebody actually tripped over and like fell into the.
Yeah, that
steps.
was me. I lost that one tooth. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. There was some little old lady.
Statute of limitations have run anyway. So.
And she was fine. She was just like, "All right, I fell." Like,
Yeah, right. Can I
you
get
used to
another
do the
drink?
lights. Well, when you were there back in whenever in the before times,
The before Carl.
in the long ago,
In the BC, the before
in the
Carl.
long ago, you would actually do lights from the third floor, right?
Yes, yeah, we didn't
With
have
the
a
big
booth.
thunker, with the big.
Well, we did, I mean, we had a board, but there were times where we used the old rheostat dimmers and the house lights were the circuit breakers. We didn't have house light control.
that was still the case when I was there. The house
So
at 16.
We
yeah.
would have, there would be somebody's job would be to run down 2 flights of steps, turn off the house lights, and then we had to remember as we were getting close to the act break to have them run back down the steps. And then we realized, why don't the house manager do that? Then we realized we didn't really have a house manager.
I was going to say you had a house manager.
Well, we did. There was a whole staff that was a much
You
different.
had a whole staff.
It was a little bit different because we had the dinner theater upstairs. That's why if you go to the basement, the other side.
Oh,
Ben's
there used
side,
to be.
that was the kitchen.
Yeah.
There's a whole Hobart. There was a sink there that was taken out where the equity cot is now. That was a sink. You can still see the grease trap. And there was a prep area and everything else. And that's how the elevator got built. And ADA compliant as well, but also that's how they would get the food. It would come from Zachary's. They would basically reheat it down there and then bring it up to the crystal room.
Wow.
Yes, and they would give us. We got a free dinner as part of our thing, and we didn't eat.
Well, I mean, we actually had raked seats in the balcony back then. We had like
Yes.
50 or 60 seats.
Yeah,
that were
actually, I
raked.
think there's still the shop still has the old
old raking system.
and the old seats.
That was really cool.
They were
I mean, 'cause-
platforms. They were just like chorus platforms.
yeah.
It kind of
That was still there. My first year when I did, maybe my first or second, no, definitely first year. It was like 2013, 14, and we were doing Diary of Anne Frank, and that was back when I sound designed it, but they didn't need me to run it because it was a straight play, so they thought. Then I would sit up in the balcony in those seats
Street
and
play,
watch
like
it.
prom.
Yeah, so I was just sort of like. Yeah,
Sorry.
prom is definitely not a straight play. It's it is not.
It's an awesome. It's an awesome.
It's very fun.
It's
In
the
fact,
exact opposite
tomorrow's.
of Diary of Anne Frank. That's for sure.
In fact, no. Listen, if I had to watch Diary of Anne Frank or the prom, I'll take the prom any
Well,
day of
yes.
the week. Also, it's a musical. People kept asking me. I told you this.
Yes,
they
it's
kept asking me if
Diary
Diary
of
of
Anne
Anne
Frank
Frank was a musical. I'm like, yeah, she's in the attic. She's in the attic.
We're going to come up with the
She sings along to the bells that she can hear across the
it's
street.
terrible. It's terrible. Oh, I forgot about the bells. Yeah.
But when I was there was when they were discussing rebuilding the apron of the stage because it had been built by whoever the TD was at the time, I believe for Les Mis, so that they could come out into the audience more. That's when they got rid of the pit. And while they were talking about that, they were also talking about putting in the seats up again in the balcony. And then I had to tell them, I said, I think it's a good idea not to use our guys because if something happens to it, it makes more sense to have a company that you can then say, hey, come back and fix this, as opposed to,
Like an air conditioner.
yeah, like an air conditioner.
Well, I mean, structurally,
Wait, was it not working when you were there too?
It was dripping all over the band in the back.
Yeah, it still did that. That one wasn't the air conditioner. That was the vent.
It's been doing that long? Wow.
It's been doing that since '94.
That's why Brendan used to have to put after
tarp.
the show a tarp over the
Yeah,
not
we-
just
we-
the band,
Well, now
but
there's a
over
trash
the
bag chute.
over the projector.
Yes.
Oh, really? I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
Because there was a couple where like Brendan couldn't be there, and he was like, "Steve, can you put this over because it has to get done?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's part of my job."
But when the seats were there, my office was up on the 3rd floor as well. I could use a step ladder and get through the little window there instead of having to climb up the other way. So I would.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was dangerous coming out. I did not come out because
Dude,
I, did lose
I
the
know
step
that
ladder a
window.
couple times.
Chris Jordan scared the living hell out of me because I was up in the office. That's back before Ozzy took over. Tornicky and me and Chris Jordan, like we decked that place out up there. It was so cool. It had like TV. I don't know,
All it had was the sofa that you guys had up there.
but it had 2 massage chairs and a sofa and TV and refrigerator, and it was amazing.
I just can't imagine how you got it up those steps.
There was a
through
it was a
all that-
clubhouse, and it had written on the wall, "No girls allowed." It was a clubhouse, and it was really really fun. And I would be there at like Tornicky and I would be like playing video games till like 2 a.m. Be like, well, we should
Do some work.
do
Or
some
go
work or go home or perhaps both.
If it was your clubhouse, did Robert Goulet play one time?
No, he
No.
did not. I know the reference.
That's why
Are
we
you
had
here?
production
I'm here
calls
from-
at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what he's talking about playing video games.
I'm here from the casino.
That's right.
Are you
Used
from
to
the
design,
I'm from
like-
a casino. Good enough.
Your agent told you to shut up. And
Your
sit.
agent, but was it Martha or
I can't remember.
your agent says you should shut up? I forget her name.
Listen.
But I remember it worked out really well when I was production manager because I was still going to school. And Jesse's response was, well, great, because we're not here when we're asleep from like 10 at night till 6 in the morning. You have that whole time. And that's basically when we would put on shows. And all of a sudden it would show up.
Was it was it 7 days a week back then? Not 7 days. Was it 7 shows a week back then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was 7 shows.
What was the first show there like? I mean, that first opening night, it must have been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the who's who of media when the theater opened, because it was a huge spectacle. They had put all the money in repairing the theater from the stage out. So backstage was, think of a stage half the size of what it is now. The pit in which the bass player basically could, give a high five to anybody on stage without them bending
Well, I know
down.
the top of the bass is always just like moving around.
And the set kind of came all the way out, and we had some major issues with getting it up because we didn't have many picking points. We had the power winches, and so we used the power winches to keep the back walls up because we didn't have enough room. Normally with flats, you can screw them to the floor, you put a triangle brace on it, you do any number of things. We didn't have that ability because the triangle brace would have hit the walls of the stage. So the door where the laundry room is now was still accessible. Like that's how you could get in and out.
Oh, really?
Backstage, yes.
Wow, that's really different.
Yeah, and you would be able to get in and out from backstage, and the house was gorgeous. Everything was really nicely done out front, and we were backstage praying that the bubblegum wrapper that I was using to keep the fuse from blowing didn't fall off.
Is that a joke?
No, there were a couple of
some pennies underneath it too.
We still had bus fuses that we were using to keep the little screw screw ones. Yeah, but the problem is those fuses at 2400 watts would blow. Well, we had 3200 watts of lip soils on it. So what do you do? You're an 18-year-old lighting designer. You MacGyver it. And so we had a couple bubble gums, and we would test for heat. So we would do the heat test to see if it got too hot. We would turn those lights down a little bit. And then, we'd use different lights.
Yo, man.
Well, I told Lee the first time I saw the genie lift down, I'm like, what are those things that go out on the ends? He's like, those are the outriggers. I'm like, whoa. He goes, what? I was like, 4 juicy fruit wrappers, and you don't need those. The look on his face was like, what do you mean? I'm like, we never had enough room on the stage for the outriggers. If we put the outriggers on, it would take up a half the stage at that point. So,
well, that's so you don't die.
Well, My Fair Lady, so the set came down from Milton, and they came out to row E in the front. So we sawed off the thing, and the guy who played the professor comes out. He was a method actor. He made sure to tell me this. Excuse me. I'm like, yes. He's like, do you work here? I'm like, well, I don't know if work is really the word, but we'll take that. I don't mean to be pushy, but my door's missing. I'm like, well, your door was in row A when it got here, so we had to cut the door. He's like, I got you. So where's my door going to be? I'm like, well, you have the door on stage right, and you have the door on stage left. With all due respect, the door on stage left goes to the kitchen. Yeah, I
gotta love him.
He was an older gentleman, very good, but he.
Hours going, just like pulling out of the ground, just like
from all the magnets.
Is Magneto in that car?
There's some Magneto in that car.
But anyway, that was the first show, and it went downhill from there. No, it was the greatest experience of my life. And I wonder why. I always wondered. I'm like, how me? And then I realized there was nobody else. Like there was, how there's usually a line, and everybody who wants to do it step forward, and everybody else steps backwards. There was no line. Like I looked to the left of me, looked to the right of me. There was me. And back then we didn't have union crews, so we were basically people would dread getting calls from me on a Wednesday, on their home phone because of course we didn't really have cell phones either too. So.
Yeah, it was weird for me coming in I have a very extensive background with community theater and also working with the city, where at the time we didn't even have W-2 workers, we had 1099 workers. So like everything was like volunteer or you're just doing it, and then getting in, like, thank God for just the consideration that Brendan had with me. Because there were times where I would say something stupid and he's just like, can't do that, man. You can't do that. Like, I would be like, no, but I'd be like, because I'm just thinking, like, I gotta get this thing done. I'm going to be here because they're painting tonight. Maybe I go and I just put the facing on that. He's like, you can't do that when we're not here. And, like, there were so many times where he's just like, but, like, he wasn't like sit back and do it so he could have a grievance. He was very good about it. Like, learning just how to do the scheduling with him. Like, this is what we need for that. Like, he was very good with me. And
Well, we fixed that this year. The lawyer of the theater got the technical director in IATSE.
Oh yeah, well they
Sort of.
when
Sort of. He's technical director, production manager, but the technical director part of his job is salaried. Because when Lee came in, he was also the stage manager. So he would go equity and out
Oh,
of
you
equity.
did like 900 things. Yeah.
Right. Just became the chair, and so this year it was actually a very smooth negotiation. The guys were great. Our staff, our crew is awesome. So it made things much easier.
the crew when I was there, I can't say anything negative about them. They were very good with me.
Brendan, the person you talked about, he's wonderful.
Brendan, I had Carl, Katie at the time, Katie Morgan, and Kate. Who's the costume person? The costume mistress. She became like full-time IATSE right after I left. But then we had Chrissy, all the people that came for overhire because they.
And what a great thing! What a great resource because. Be honest with you, we were dragging people in left and right and trying to get things done. And now we have a crew that, Brendan's the builder, Drew, our props, plus he does scenic painting. They're just amazing. Tom, Sam is now our lighting person. And we have a new costume person I've only met once, but the costumes for prom, hands down, some of the best costumes that the Media Theater's seen in a while. She actually built a costume for one of the leads who he was so impressed and he looked so, it is a multicolored suit. It is, there are only a certain number of actors who can pull it off. Chris Sapienza is one of them. I tell him that. I'm like, as Barry Glickman, I'm like, you pull that off. Only certain people can pull off a suit like that. He does it, with gusto and flair, just like Chris. Nobody else can. So, but it's the crew has really come around quite well.
I got and
we found a replacement for Carl, but is it really a replacement? I guess technically, Michael is very good as well, and came in with some really cool. With some really cool toys, yes. So, and even me not being a sound guy,
him doing the band,
being a designer,
is amazing.
I stayed away from sound because there are shows where I've turned the lights out accidentally on the show Death of a Salesman, and nobody noticed. Right, but if you turn the sound off, that's the only time people notice. Sound.
Oh yeah.
Well, I work with high school kids, and it's one of the things that I always tell them is that with the sound kits, because anytime that there's a show, even if they're high school kids, there's going to be some feedback, there's going to be something.
Yeah.
But if they have a 70% good show, an 80% good show, I go up to them and be like,
it's a show. That's what a show is.
But I would tell them all the time. I was like, guys, I need to let you know that you did a good job tonight because when you do a good job, nobody cares that you're there.
Nope.
But the second that there's feedback,
it's it's totally like Bender. If you do your job right, no one knew that you ever did your job at all.
But the second there's feedback, the second there's and I even said there's
Is
actors.
that the phone?
Yeah.
Did somebody hear the phone?
Yeah.
I could have sworn I heard the phone.
Oh my God!
hate you.
Chris Jordan will tell you. I totally did that to Chris
Will the
Jordan.
phone ring? Please ring.
I've never gotten a look of hot liquid death from anyone because there's something happening, and it was Act 2, and for some reason I don't know why I did it, which is why I now not now, but back. Remember, I used to have a little cap. I have a little cap that used to go on the channel 16, which was our FX channel on the board, and it says no. It says no in capital letters, and it's a Coca-Cola cap, and it fits over the mute button on that last thing. And this is why it exists because I swear to God, I don't know why I did it. But it was on the last. It was I think it was Gypsy. I don't know what the fuck it was. There was a phone. It was a phone.
It's always the phone or a doorbell. It's either phone or a doorbell.
And this is back when the sound booth was way on the one side, and Jordan with the light board was way on the other. Back when we like Tim, it was we had two people. We didn't have a lighting person, a stage manager. Stage manager was the lighting person, and he was hitting the cues, and he was hitting them. And then I mistakenly thought that the last cue was the horn on page 74. The last cue is actually the phone on page 96. So he goes, no, they're talking. And I think it's Kelly and Chrissy, which Kelly will roll with it. Chrissy will kill you if you screw her up. And so they reach the point where the phone rings. And he goes, whomp. And there is now it fires. The cue fires, but I have it muted because I'm a friggin' idiot. And he looks at me. Oh, the look was just like, and I'm just like, and then what do? And then you somehow did someone hit the phone? I have no idea how he got out of it. But he wanted to jump across the booth and kill me. kill me.
I think every sound person's missed at least a phone or a doorbell. If
Oh,
noise
there's
is
so
off,
many.
it's okay. You can miss all that you want. It'll just be part of the show. But every other show, you can have a real problem when the phone doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, it's
So.
just,
I mean, I remember doing of all shows, Mousetrap, which Carl will find that funny, but we won't say why. And not turning down the lights when the murder scene happened, so everybody saw who the murderer was at the beginning of the show.
That might make it a little bit.
Yeah, and then
all right,
the
gentlemen.
director's like, "Do you know who the murderer is?" I was like, "Well, I do. I've seen the show." He's like, "So does the whole audience." I'm like,
Gentlemen, we've reached that part of the show where we're going to try strange soda. So in order for us not to know, they're going to know what it is. I'm going to hold it in front of my camera, but neither one of you can look at it. So I'm going.
I mean, you're telling a lawyer to not look, right?
Yeah, I can't look at it either. So I'm going to
Yeah, somehow I went
slowly.
from line design to lawyering.
I'm slowly going to move it on this camera and this one as
Well,
well.
attention to detail.
And if hopefully they can see it. Okay, there we go. So I don't know what this is. I'm covering it while I
Is it
pour
sweet
it.
at least? Like, I don't want a cayenne pepper one.
One of them's
I had-
ranch.
I had when I
Buffalo
did
wing?
the buffalo wing one.
Yeah, see, that's fun. I did the,
It
what did
tasted
I do?
like
Those
burn.
freeze-dried candies.
It tasted, thank you, Ralphie. That's so Ralphie. It tastes like burning.
It's burning my throat. Milk was a bad idea.
It tastes like burning. Wow.
Cheers.
Oh. Okay, gentlemen. Okay, well you gotta
Sláinte.
you gotta.
I am-
The bouquet's good. You know, bouquet, is it bouquet? Bouquet, right? Yeah. And do we have to swish it around and then spit it out? Is that grapefruit?
Is it spicy?
It's the spicy after.
Do we need?
Is
do
it
we?
Red Hots? Like cinnamon? Like it reminds me of cinnamon Red Hots from.
It's clearing my sinuses.
Yeah, like
a
it's
little bit.
effervescent.
I can breathe again.
Yeah. Is that what you smell like? Oh wait.
Is cinnamon?
Yeah, it
Like a
feels
Red Hot?
yeah, like those things you get for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Oh my God! Who the hell cares?
The fans care.
A couple of shows at the media theaters where. Who the hell?
I don't. It's not horrible.
No,
It's
like,
not
it's
making me
spicy
puke.
though.
It is spicy.
I
It
can,
has an after spice.
honest to God, I can.
It has an after
Yeah,
spice.
yeah, like
When I first
like my
tasted
dad's aftershave, you know, it's like it's Old Spice.
Like Dune.
I am drinking again because that's what men do. Like
Are my eyes turning blue?
Good. Part 2's coming out soon, I think.
Eventually.
I think I think it's Red Hots.
It's Red Hots, yeah, right. It's like
Right?
cinnamon Red Hots.
To be honest, I don't really eat
they're
a
much
lot
hotter.
spicy, so I couldn't tell you what it is akin to. I just know that my lips are tingling.
My lips are. Well, that's not the Red Hots. That might be something else. We might want to do a drug test before we leave, so we don't
lips
get
are
caught
tingling.
doing anything wrong. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I dug up the "Am I arrested?"
Am I
were
going
gonna
to jail?
We were gonna play the "Am I going to jail?"
So
We'll
my
play
other
that
life,
for
I'm a
minute.
criminal defense attorney. Although the last several weeks, my full-time job has been board member of the
Yeah,
theater.
no shit.
So, but someday I'm going to bill another hour. And if my clients are listening, rest assured, your case is definitely on top of my list.
I would say that until I got to Caesar, when I could finally take a night off, I was there at least 6 days a week, well over 10 hours a week.
Oh, that's like Lee. Like he was telling me that I think it was in middle of October. He had August 3rd was the last day he had off or something.
I remember the one of
And
the
even when you're off, you're not off.
yeah. Well, no,
I mean, that's what I was talking
There's
about.
always
Like
a call or a prop that needs
or
to get
just your
ordered,
brain, or
Yeah,
your brain
yeah,
is
like-
like,
well,
I
I
gotta
used-
fix a problem.
I used to have to literally like visualize a number as I was counting to get myself to sleep because I couldn't turn my brain off. Like all I would do is like think of that number and like close my eyes and think of like 1, 2, but like look at the number in my head. Or if
That's hot.
Yeah.
It's like warm.
it was also
Gives me one of those warm feelings.
one of the times I yelled at the former company manager, house manager. What would we call Roger?
Like straight
Yeah,
up,
company
and
manager.
straight up crazy.
But I overheard
off.
him talking once to Jesse that because Jesse was looking for me, and I heard from because I was up in the crystal room, and I heard them down there, and he's like, "Where's Steve?" And Roger's like, "Oh, he's probably upstairs taking a nap in his room." And I yelled down the steps. I was like, "At least I don't go back to my apartment to take a nap during the day."
That was funny.
I can tell you that the only person that I did not mix well was with him.
Rogers, I got along with Roger, but I spent a lot of time in the booth with him. There's no poop on the poop deck.
Yeah. I will say that I worked okay with him because it was my job to work okay with him, but there were times like I had to remind him that I was production manager and technical director, that he wasn't my boss. Like, I was like, I don't know why you're talking to me like this. Like, you are not my boss. I was like, there are two people here that can talk to me like that, and you're not one of them.
You're not the boss of me.
Because then,
not the boss.
Or then he would like make jokes like we've been friends for like 20 years, and I was like, we're not friends like that. You can't say those words to me, man.
Well, the joke about Roger was, I need to talk to HR. HR's the one telling me about his score the night before, so that's not going to work.
Like, not even like the night before, but like right before a kid's show too. So like, he's not quiet about it. He's back talking to Carl about his whatever happened the night before, like loud as patrons are just walking by him.
And then, what did the Chihuahua have to do with it?
Oh,
you don't want to know.
Lee couldn't handle it. Lee just couldn't. I'm just like, I roll with it. I don't give a shit. I think, but
you just egg it on. You're like trying to,
really.
And then what happened next?
And then you did what with the peanut butter?
Yeah.
And then,
so if I give you this egg separator, is there something you could do tonight?
Spatulas? Yeah. Our soda was, gentlemen, it was. Oh. Wow, it was hot. I didn't think it was going to be that. I mean,
Nevada Reaper.
I mean,
it didn't reap too much.
Nevada Reaper that's an insane
That
chili
one
and pepper.
actually tasted like burning.
So where did you get this soda?
From a place called shoot, I should remember where they're called. It's up in shit. I should remember where I got it from. I have no idea.
As you can see, we do not pre-screen the questions from the guests.
What is it? Can you? I don't have. I may have to get my glasses. I don't have the eyes for that. Do you know what it said? The warning is on it.
Warning: this soda is very hot. Your mouth may catch fire. Drink at your own risk.
I think it's called Dad's Suds.
Luckily, your attorney's
or Dad's,
right here,
or Dad's Pop, or I forget what it's called, but it's up in.
Now I feel like I have to drink more because once somebody
but
gives you
here's
a
the
warning.
thing. It's not. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not. It's. I know. One of them in there is ranch because I talked about.
Do you just randomly pick them out?
What?
Do you just randomly pick them out?
Well, here's the thing. I went up with my lady friend Brenda and her daughter, and I said, "You guys pick them out. I can't know what they are." So they and I was in one aisle over, and I heard them giggling constantly.
Didn't you say the first time you went by yourself and you just went to the people behind the?
I did,
and you're just like, pick out 20 and just don't tell me what it is. Just put it in there, and they were giggling. So
they were so happy. They were these two kids.
Place?
It's up in. You go all the way up 476, and then you hang a right. I wish I could remember.
Did you find it like while you were going to Micro Center or whatever that place is for the computers?
Well, that's not that far. I mean,
it's up way further than that. It's up way
like on the Northeast Extension further.
No, it's like 76. Like you take that and then 76 towards Jersey, and then you get off on the first exit on that around Langhorne, and then you go north from that. So I'm seeing if it's in my history because that's what I do.
He's a better sound guy, people, than he is a
navigator.
Yeah.
Apps. Yeah. I do not.
You make a right at the school that burned down 20 years ago.
Yes.
I must say that. Yeah,
that's kind of the way that I came today to get here.
Well, I just looked for the green car.
Yeah. Oh no.
Because he gave me the address. I'm like, I don't know what
this
the
could
address
be
is.
anywhere.
But I'm walking around the corner and I'm like, there's the green car because.
Well, I do. I mean, I'm looking for my history. There's Utica. I was at. Oh yeah, that was my thing. I was up in Utica a couple days ago, playing guitar at Moe's, and Kelsey Grammer was there. So that was fun.
Every time I think of you at Moe's, though, I just remember the night that I went, where like I'm winning. Me and this one other guy.
Is funny.
We were doing great on Quizzo, but I don't know if you remember the old bartender at the Media Theater. Maria. She came. She might have been in her cups a little bit before she even got there, and they served beer there that night as well.
Master Soda Pops, West Lincoln Highway in Pendle, PA, wherever the fuck that is. It's up there. It's up there. But anyway, they've got like 10,000 sodas. Anyway, please.
And she just kept like Carl's playing these songs in between quiz.
And they're like I said, I learned all these like he knows them, and a Simpsons fan loves them. I mean, I like to think they love them because they're like nobody. I courted these out myself. Nobody plays these songs. So if you're a fan of the Simpsons, you're like, holy shit, someone actually is playing this. And I'm getting through them, and she is
just yelling. She's like, play, like, and just like random, like,
play shit, or
Freebird,
like basically yelling, play Freebird. And at one point, I've never really seen Carl like lose it. He's like, you gotta stop. And the best, so
I like Maria because when I got in there, my beer was already cold and open and knew exactly which one I wanted. You know,
I will never say anything against her as a bartender, but she was, and then
she stole your phone.
She took my phone by accident. She left her phone, and she took my phone, and I had to use Carl's to call my phone, and she picked it up, and I went, you took my phone, and then she wanted me to drive to her house. I was like, you took my phone, like I can't even get to your house because I don't have GPS. Like, meet me at the theater. And then I get to the theater, and the theater was unlocked because I called Carl. I was like, I was able to literally walk in. Like, I was like, this is weird, and I like opened up the door, and I kept yelling because if somebody was in there working, I wanted them to know.
There are several ghosts,
but it was legit unlocked, and I walked in. I was like, just yelling real loud. I was like, if anybody, because I thought maybe it was Ben who like sometimes will, but like the doors were open.
Like open?
Nobody was in the building, so I called Carl, and
that
then
was not a sound effect.
And then I called Carl. I sent a message to
Patrick probably.
No, you literally
Lee.
just said Lee. I sent a message to Lee, and I was like, this building is completely open. Like I was able to walk in, so somebody's got to do something about this.
It's not the first time.
And I'm right around the corner. I came down and locked it all up.
But it was just like I'm waiting there for Maria to give me my phone, and then she gives me my phone, and she's like, do you want to go around the bar? I was like, no, I want to go home, Maria. I just want to go home.
Yeah, the best thing about the theater is it's still the same code from back in the 90s. So like when I got on the board and the door was locked, and I remember Patrick, how'd you get in? I'm like, well, I just typed the code in and by accident.
You probably put the code in.
No, I did not put that lockbox in. I remember who put that in, but yeah.
That's amazing.
It was weird walking in there when I didn't need to be in there that late at night. Because there were shows where like I was working from start to finish, like trying to do stuff with Brendan, probably not well being in Brendan's way, but like doing the draftings, and then painting at night because our costume person was also our painter because the IATSE did not give us that for Sweeney Todd because it was on the call sheet. They sent us someone and we started talking about like what treatments we wanted with the walls, and it's the only person IATSE had, and he goes, oh, I can't do that. This is the very first day of the build. He's like, I can't do that. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, oh, I'm like a house painter. Like, I can paint stuff on one thing. And I go, Brendan? And like, so he comes down and I'm like, he's like, he can't even paint. And he's like, shit. Like, so we're like sitting there like, we don't have a painter now. And that day, like that guy, Brendan made him work for the 4 hours because we would split the shifts 4 and 4 and have an hour off. And then he's like, do you know
there were nails to hammer.
And then he was like, do you know anybody who could paint? And I was like, I know people. Like the person I could call is the person who's our costume person. And he's like, well,
and she's good at it too. Yeah.
She's better at that than she was at costumes. And but I don't have a problem with her costuming. Her and the IATSE costume, what would you say? Costume
wardrobe.
The wardrobe supervisor.
Yeah. Was that Katie Yamaguchi still at that point?
No, it was Catherine
Calhoun.
Yeah.
Yes.
They butted heads a lot to the point where I had to mediate a lot between the two of them. But Rin is her name. She's now actually the wardrobe supervisor at the Arden, and she's been for several years.
Yeah, she was always going to go somewhere doing that.
Well, I actually thought she was going to go somewhere painting because she did a very good job on the painting for Sweeney Todd. She painted everything the way as best she could for Wizard of Oz. I forget what else. I know she did. She did Saturday Night Fever. I don't remember if she did Beehive. I know she didn't do Caesar because Caesar was my friend Ada. It was a day we were just like, we don't have a set painter. It was insane. And that was the second thing that had ever I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm used to just calling up my friends and saying, hey, you want a job? Like, I know I have to go through IATSE.
Well, that
which
was
is fair.
and that was the way it was at the theater.
Yeah.
It was like we would.
Well,
like,
we didn't really do a lot of set painting and design.
All my kids worked there at some point.
Most of our shows came down from Milton.
Yeah.
We did originate several shows here. We originated one show that went up to Bucks County and then over to Milton.
You're talking about MAME, I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
maybe another show did, but MAME definitely was here, and then the last week was at Bucks County.
But we didn't really do a lot of building, even though we had the workshop space. That was a lot more storage than anything else, because what happened is the set would come down from Milton, and then it would stay here.
And that's when the shop wasn't. The shop was in that building, but the shop wasn't in that room. It was way closer to the front door.
Way closer.
Yeah, because
nothing else was. They just bought that build, like a Vertol. I think Media Real Estate just bought it because BJ's had just opened like 5 years before. There was nothing else there. There was the car sales place. There was BJ's, and then there was this transport they started.
Didn't they? Because this is what we talked about. My friend, my friend used to work for media as well. Then wasn't there like the dance rehearsal hall there and stuff like they used more
that was the
rooms
rehearsal
in there?
space. Yeah, we used it as a rehearsal space. Now most of it was rehearsed. There were new actors that came in. There were put-ins, but yes, so the rehearsal space was there. It was horrible. We had those lights that took like 30 minutes to warm up. So you turn on. It was like the salt lamps were all. So you'd have to turn the lights and then go get coffee and then come back and then the lights would be working.
I actually enjoyed when I could go there because I was off campus.
Off campus, yes.
But
Did you guys have the banana truck? We had we had this banana thing that moved things around. It was a big cream type of truck that
we didn't, but we had a nice relationship with I guess I would call it like Oriental Trading, but it might not have been Oriental Trading. They were always in the hallway with their forklift. So if we ever had anything big that had to go, they would like.
Was that that was Pier 1 Imports? Wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I just I call it. I always called it Oriental Trading just because it was always like this whole stack of stuff and like it had to go and like I was like
Right. No,
I just equated it
kind of lifted up with chains
to a bag, to a like one of those catalog ones. Right. But they were very nice when we were in there. But I was there also when they were planning on trying to move to the room next, because they didn't want to pay for that big a space, and we tried to have the shop sale, and that did not go as well as we wanted to, but we tried.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
There was a ton of stuff. Because when we did Caesar,
I don't think I've been to the new shop space yet.
When we did Caesar, I took.
Really?
No, I mean I've heard about it, and Lee's threatened to take us over, and every
Come
time I
on,
say
let's go. Let's go party over there. Let's go right now.
Brandon's probably still building.
Well, that's where I get the boxes. That's where the What's in the Box series, like the pallet guy. If you read about What's in the Box, he's like there's the shop, and then What's in the Box is right next to it. Philly Pallets.
I believe I have some pins because of the What's in the Box, right?
What's in the Box? Yeah.
Yes.
But
so we took such a hit set wise, like monetarily, from Sweeney and from I don't know how Wizard was, but I had to tell our set designer Matthew Miller. I don't know if
he's still around. Yeah.
Who used to be a teacher of mine. Yeah, when I was at Temple, he was my professor. It's actually how I got the job at media, because he's the one who told me about it, and then we had long discussions on whether or not I should take it. And he said, even if you're there for a year, it's a year worth of experience. Because at that time,
it's experience.
And do you still think that's a good thing?
I actually do. As much as I had problems, like if I decide, it actually made me decide that I didn't want to do it professionally. And nothing against it. I just like the idea of, like, I love teaching kids how to do this stuff. Like, I don't care if the set looks like it's $1 million. Like, I want the kids to build. I want the kids to do sound. I want the kids to do like I like teaching the beginnings of it, and then if they go to school, like them being better than me. I don't care if they're better than me. And then I also like the city job that I have, which is we're basically a rental house. Like, we have very little stuff of our own going in, so I get to see a ton of different things. Like, this week we did Freaky Friday. Next week we have...
well, what's his discount?
But next week we have... Because we're a City of Philadelphia building, we have the park rangers coming in to do 2 trainings on verbal judo. We have a film festival. We have someone coming in next Sunday that's getting ready is going to be programming.
I wouldn't learn verbal judo.
But so, like, I like that. Like,
in one of my cases, I'll show you some verbal judo.
and like, it's just, it's fun to have something new every day. And then having my kids where I can just go up there and just like watch them from like I'm finally at the era where the youngest that I had when I first started now graduating because I've only been doing it for 4 years. Being able to hand a template to a kid and say, I want that built like that. And the kid might have a ton of questions, which is fine, but like he's that kid who wanted to learn how to build. Or the person who's doing lights now she's going to program the show by herself. And I'll be over her shoulder, but she's planning on programming the show by herself. Like, that's awesome. Like, I don't care if they're better than me. I just want them to have fun doing it. And
Where do you teach?
Upper Moreland.
Okay.
But, yeah, enough about the good. Where's the jokes? We got to get back to the jokes, man.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
This is heavy.
Well, when Joe was originally coming on the last time, we ran out of time, and one of the segments that I put together was, "Am I going to jail?" Which I don't know if I still even have. I can't possibly still have it because it was like literally 6 months ago at this point. Top 5, beer me. What's in the box?
I was here for beer me, I think.
Jail. So what that basically is I was wondering, like, at what point do you go to jail for things? Because among other things, like people that you were like a prosecutor at one point.
Yes.
Like DA or
no, I was assistant district attorney. So I was the head of the special victims unit and did all the child abuse cases, child pornography cases, things like that. And
that's gotta.
Then I got married. My wife's like, "You make what?" And so.
Oh, really? Oh, I never knew that. Was
yeah, it's kind of like what? I make more as a teacher than you do as a DA, but I liked it. But I also love what I do now, so I'm on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you've turned to the dark side, right?
It all depends on how you look at it.
Where were you an ADA?
Here in Delaware County.
Okay, because a friend of mine who is now private as well was an ADA in Philly, and he was told by a judge that he never wants to see him again in his courtroom. So
I've had that experience with judges, yes, or judges that yell at me, and I figured the more.
Well, then you made
I'm here doing a job. Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, you want to make sure that you're there.
He was also the only time I ever got just outright dismissed from a jury duty. I walked into the room and I was like, "Hey, Colin," and they're like, "You can leave." I was like, "All right." I didn't even
my favorite prosecutor.
But the best part is
Uncle Kyle.
Because he was an ADA, he wasn't obviously making a lot of money. He was still bartending on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Holy shit! Really?
Which is kind of funny, yeah. Because you're thinking that you're creating your own defendants. Is that how that works? Like,
but
that's
I guess
solid.
that's better to create your own clients, but be like, here, have another drink, drive, it'll be fine.
Well,
It's a solid
thankfully, I went to grade school and high school with him, and he knew where I lived. But like, he was the very next day I was at that bar, and he's like, "Here's a beer." He's like, "Please don't do that again. I got in so much trouble." I was like, "But I would have had to say that I knew." He's like, "Yeah, but don't walk in and be like, 'What's up, Colin?'" And I'm like, "It was a good reaction. I don't know what to tell
be
you."
a big boy, big kid here,
Who's a big boy?
Yeah,
I'm a big
the
boy.
adult here. Oh, I love adulting sometimes. Yeah.
But so I put together this list. At least I thought I did, and I don't know how the bit would go over. Is at what point do certain crimes get to the point? And he would probably know. I think you would know. At you actually go to jail for. So some of the ones. Let's see.
I have not seen.
Let's see. So
because last time it was Latin phrases.
Oh, yeah, Latin phrases. We did all this.
Yeah.
It's like pro boo boo poo poo coo poo. And then
Pro bono publico, yeah, like doing free legal work. Yeah.
Okay, and
they're kind of curse words.
Oh, is that
legal
the
law.
first? Is that the full thing? Like,
Yes.
was
So
instead of
pro bono,
just because
yeah.
I've always heard of pro
Oh,
bono.
wow.
No, but
Publico- so it's pro bono
It's
publico?
good for the public. Yeah, for the
look
good
at
of the
that.
public. Yeah. Informer pauperis, being poor and going to the court and not being able to pay the court costs, you file informer pauperis, like you're a pauper.
What's nolo contendere?
Yeah, so no
That's how you-
contest. So you can plead guilty or you can plead no contest. And basically pleading guilty is I admit that I did it. No contest is I'm not admitting I did it, but I'm saying I can't contest what the Commonwealth has. In all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. It's more of a moral victory than anything else. So it's still considered a guilty.
Is that
verdict. You're
sort of
still
the
sentenced.
equivalent? I mean, obviously very different, but is it kind of sort of the equivalent for a non-person to pleading the fifth? List? Like, did you kill a person? I plead the fifth. You should just say no.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I mean, that's sort of an easy thing. Did you kill your cat? I plead the
sort
fifth.
of like that. It's
Wait,
sort of like
but-
sort of like when an insurance company pays you out but doesn't claim liability. You know, when the guy's listen, I'll give you the money, but I'm not claiming I'm liable for it.
Truth is a gradation
Yeah.
scale.
Would you also do that if, like, say you just knew you didn't have a winnable case, like
Right.
like-
If you
like-
have a client who's like, I'm like, yes, but they have you on video.
or like
So you have a client who might like not have the ability to say I'm guilty. You know,
would
like
all-
the guy in My Cousin Vinny.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like the
And-
Fonz trying to say,
but
I'm sorry, I was
but
wrong.
Judge, we can't contest it. Like they have it. You know, my client doesn't think it's a crime, but it doesn't matter. The Commonwealth, you know, it's in the. It's
I thought you could drive on that
Or
side.
like-
Yeah, I thought you could drive on that side of the road. We're
why
not in
would-
England.
Why would you not? No one told me I couldn't.
Yeah,
would it also be like if there's
there's a couple
so
people
much,
encouraging me on this side.
Go.
like if they just knew that there was so much circumstantial evidence that there's no way that, like, because they just don't have an alibi or somebody that could prove they have an alibi, so they're like,
Yeah.
look, I'm not going to win this, so I'm just going to say no contest
Right, I'm not-
because I can't say like I'm not guilty because I can't prove that.
Right, disprove it because they have to prove you guilty technically.
Yeah.
But there are just times where it's just sometimes a moral victory to be like, I'm just not contesting it.
Yeah.
In all, as far as your criminal record, as far as a sentence, it's as if you pled guilty. So,
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like
Yeah.
to me.
so they say
Oh,
please don't.
speaking
Yeah.
of Maria.
She's
Hey,
watching?
Shout out to Maria. No, she's not watching. She's just texting me under like 900 different aliases. It's the craziest thing. I was talking to her about it. She's always a different name when she texts me. I'm like, who
She's
is
always
this?
a different name on Facebook. She
That's what I'm
changes it
saying.
all
It's
the
on
time.
Facebook. It's like 1 week it's like, it's Herbert Jones. I'm like, what's up, Herb? Why do you know so much
Hey,
about
Herbie.
me?
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's a picture of like Maria. I'm like, oh, it's you. What the hell? What are you, a spy? So
the worst
at what
spy.
point? So
Okay, so, yeah.
at what point? Like, let's start with littering. So if I
How much do you have to litter to go to jail?
How much do you? So I'm
So toxic
driving-
waste. Yes, I'm pretty sure if you are dumping toxic waste into the
But is
Delaware
that
River,
considered littering?
I mean, that's beyond littering. That's certainly that could be mass destruction. I mean, there's a number of other crimes that could get in, but technically, you are disposing of waste.
I'm driving down the street and I throw a bunch of toxic waste out
Yeah,
the side.
yeah.
A la Homer.
Yeah. I could also, possibly, it could be recklessly endangering another person, possibly if if it causes somebody to grow a third arm. But I mean,
That's just evolution.
So what if you throw something out that causes a much bigger
a dead
accident?
body. You throw a dead body out. Still littering, but yet it's a dead body. It's abusive corpse.
That
It could be
that has
murder.
other circumstances attached
I know, but
to
I'm
it.
just saying, if you're dropping, this is a serious one. If you're dropping something off an overpass,
Oh,
and that has people have gotten seriously injured and hurt. Technically, you've thrown something away, but then you've also you're going to jail for that. But if you throw your Wawa cup out the window while the guy's cleaning up,
we're not
trash,
saying Wawa, not an official sponsor.
yes, sorry,
I heard they have pizza now.
yes, they do now.
I've had that pizza.
So we were doing
Of all the food I've had, it's one of them. Go
we were
ahead.
doing cleanup the other day, so our Rotary Club cleans up the road. And my kids, my 7-10-year-old, go, "Why? How do people throw this stuff out the window? Like some of the things you're like, what is he thinking?" I'm like, "That's." So my 7-year-old came up with a great response when we were at a festival and the lanterns were getting set off, and my 10-year-old, who's a rule follower, said, "Daddy, the signs say don't launch the lanterns until people say so." And my 7-year-old, she's like, "We'd be bankrupt if people listened."
The 7-year-old said that?
I said it to her, but I'm like, yeah, I was like, we'd be bankrupt. She repeated it. She's like, we'd be bankrupt. My wife was like falling on the ground. She's like, that is hilarious.
amazing.
If everybody followed the rules, we'd be bankrupt. And my 7-year-old, she goes, yeah, that makes sense. So she repeated it to my rule follower.
Okay, so what about can I be arrested if I committed murder, which I have not, by the way? If I've committed murder, but I only admit to it after I was cleared of the charges. So
The book, the tell-all book of if I did it, this is how I would do it.
Okay, yeah, basically like
Yeah,
that.
so there's double jeopardy issues. So once you're clear, like if you're acquitted,
I love
of
that
murder,
show. Go ahead.
Yes, if you're acquitted of murder, like a certain somebody might have been in the 90s, not naming names.
No, there's no
I also
names
don't-
that can be
because
named.
he's still alive and I don't want to be murdered.
No, I have no desire to be murdered. I don't want to wake up dead.
And then you write a book. Once you're cleared, there's a double jeopardy. It's in the United States Constitution that says you cannot be retried for the same crime.
So
Now,
okay.
if there's a different part, let's say, and this has happened, where you get clear of the murder, but then they realize that you abused the corpse. Like, okay, so you do the tell-all book, and you then get charged with abusing the corpse by disposing of it. Like, there's abuse of a corpse. You can't just go and throw it in a cooler.
But that's a whole different sort of
You can't put it in a
charge.
cooler
That's
and throw it
not
in the
actual
Delaware Bay and then have it pop out later. After
We
the
talked
duct tape
about
breaks.
that. Yeah, you're
that's what I'm
you
saying.
should use better chains for that if you're going to try and sink that to
Right,
the bottom.
or gaffer's tape. Doesn't leave
Cement shoes.
something. But anyway,
But literally, if
that's
I
just a hypothetical. You are trying to equate it to a certain case. I'm just telling you hypothetically. So let's say you get cleared of the murder of that person, but then they come back and say, well, you abused the corpse. Technically different fact pattern. You can get charged with that. But the actual murder, once you're acquitted, double jeopardy
So
attaches.
theoretically, so in a hypothetical situation, we're sitting there and we're in the court, and the jury comes in and they go, "I find the defendant not guilty." I'm like, "Cool, because I fucking did it." That you could literally say that,
Yes.
and you go tra la fucking la.
You guys.
Holy shit!
Now, obviously, you could get civil.
Right.
They
Well,
can
that's,
go
what
back
happened,
at
to,
you with
that's what
civil.
happened to a certain person. He got wrongful death suits against him. And they settled. They won. So the victim.
Yeah, that's always
family-
weird that the civil, yes,
Well,
but
the preponderance of it's a lower burden.
And it also doesn't have to be unanimous with the jury, right?
You can
Oh, really?
decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can decide. Yeah, it's not a unanimous verdict, and you can decide the size of the jury and all that. So both sides can come to a conclusion. They're going to have whatever 7 juries, 8 jurors, and then it can be 50%, 50% plus 1. So yeah, the civil, because you're not going to jail. Your freedom is not going to be.
Bobby said, "I did it for 1,000, Alex." Double jeopardy.
Yeah.
Graffiti. At what point will graffiti get you arrested?
I guess it's where you graffiti. Yeah. I mean, arrested or in jail.
Well,
Did we change the parameters
Well,
of,
that's-
the
well,
game
well, I
here?
mean,
Or
because
is
there's
it
a-
jail
Not
is
just jail.
different? Like you can be arrested, put out on bail,
Well, my
or
son,
unsecured-
this happened to my son, strangely enough. So it was about, I think, 10
Allegedly,
years.
or-
No, totally happened to my son. It was 10 years ago, and it was in the part, like, so
10 years ago
we're,
today? Like the 28th of October?
It was 2013-ish, because I remember when the cop called me. It was Ed Furlong. It was like down in the media police. And my son was graffitiing 200 block State Street, like right down from us. You know where the medical building is? There's
Yeah.
there's us, the medical building, and the big ass
Yeah.
parking garage.
Right.
So he was graffitiing in the parking garage with chalk. With chalk. I'm like, why didn't you just piss on it and it would go away? But they.
So what did they do? He had to go out with the watering can and clean it off.
He had to go in there. He had to write a letter to the master or whatever. He had to write like a page or 2 essay or something, and then he had to. I hope I'm not diming you out too much yet. I think it's a funny story. And then he had to. And then he had to paint. And then he had to go there with someone else and get paint for like a day or 2 or 3 or a week or something. But they busted him for graffitiing with chalk.
But yet now they let you do it on State Street every Wednesday night.
Yeah, I know. He was ahead of his
Is that
time.
graffiti?
But at what point will graffiti get you literally arrested?
Really, I mean, yeah.
On a storefront or?
A lot of it is a lot of them get arrested for trespassing. So
Oh.
you're on Conrail property graffitiing. That's going to get you have more of a chance of getting arrested and possibly in jail than necessarily the actual graffitiing. So,
Okay.
So they trespass to actually graffiti, and you're not supposed to be on the overpass and things like that. So that's where a lot of them get caught up, and catching them is hard. I don't get a lot of graffiti cases.
I would imagine.
And yet you watch the Conrail trucks, the trains go by on 95, and
And some of them are pretty, some of them do an amazing job.
One man's art is another man's graffiti.
Yeah, they do an amazing job with some,
And we don't call it vandalism in the legal world. Like we don't. Graffiti is the layman's term, but
What's great? I mean, is that what word? Is that an Italian word?
Yeah.
I'm being. It's not
Yeah,
like
criminal mischief is
vandals.
the actual crime.
vandal.
The
Yeah.
vandals, vandalism.
Yeah. The criminal mischief is the actual crime, 3304 of the Crimes Code.
Look at you with the numbers.
And it goes up based off the amount of damage you cause. So the more graffiti, the more damage, the higher the grading, and the more likely you're going to jail.
So what about arson?
Yeah,
Now, obviously,
What are you
that's
burning?
pretty low. What?
I mean, what are you burning? Did you light the dumpster on fire? Or did
Yes.
you light the
Let's
family
say,
home on fire?
let's say you lit a
So
dumpster,
on fire is probably
Well,
not going to put you in jail unless it's this is not the first time you've done
There's
it.
a body in it,
Yes, I mean, there's. I
That's-
mean,
That's murder.
Well, no, that's
that's
wouldn't that
abuse of
be
corpse.
abuse of corpse.
Unless you are actually
I'll
a
learn.
crematorium,
We're learning.
a certified crematorium, then you are, and you're given permission to burn the body, then you can burn the body. But yes, if you're putting it in the dumpster, now what if you don't know there's a body in the dumpster when you light it on fire? It just happens that the dumpster that you decide to light on fire because you have no luck whatsoever
Whoops.
has a dead body in it. That could be a little bit of a problem.
He was dead when I found him,
Yes.
officer.
Then and then
smells
arson
like
just
chicken.
goes up based off of occupied.
Like a trash can,
like
like I said, like a trash can. You're
Yeah.
not going to get arrested, but you get fined for that,
Yeah,
perhaps.
I mean, you could get fined. You
Or
could, you could be
dumpster.
charged with it, but you're not going to go to jail for that. But if you light somebody's house on fire or light a business on fire or throw a Molotov cocktail through.
What if you lit like let's say something that was not like a shed or something that no one was
A
occupying?
she shed or a regular shed?
Like
'Cause
not a
it's
she shed, because a she
woman-
shed is or
Yeah,
a
a
man
woman's
cave.
scorn is
Yeah.
not something you want to deal with. So like an accessory structure, as we would call it in the zoning world. Yeah, I mean that would be a little bit less.
Gazebo.
A gazebo, rock climbing.
Would they go to
wall.
jail for that?
If it's their first offense, not likely.
'Cause I told you, the
again,
only-
and then it becomes then arson, then a criminal mischief, because again, it's it is some kind of damage. So the thing is, you're not charged with just one crime. Like anybody,
Welcome
if
to
anybody-
Legal Eagles with
Yeah,
Joe.
anybody gets charged. It's like they don't charge you with just one crime. There's all sorts
Oh,
of
they
things.
just pile them up.
Yeah, so and you probably trespass to burn down Sheila's she shed at the seashore with the seashells in it.
Has anyone ever gotten arrested for parking tickets?
So it's funny you say that.
Oh,
So there might have been a time in the DA's office where there might have been some ADAs who just parked and did not like the fact that there were parking meters. Now we have a local judge that may be a different party than the DAs were, and they may have piled up an entire glove compartment box.
so
I might have had to help somebody get out of a warrant that was issued.
You said it was a
because
huge number of parking tickets.
It was a plethora, as El Guapo would say.
Even if it's
they're thin piece of paper.
pieces of paper, it's a full.
a wafer thin.
It dated, yeah.
If it's a complete glove box full,
Yeah,
that's,
it was dated.
that's
I mean, they
gotta
dated
be
back
a
to when she
lot.
started in the DA or in the probation office. I think prior to the DA's, because she refused to pay a parking ticket. And
So you're talking years?
I was like, "How many do you have?"
They're like, how
pulled
many
out-
don't
yeah,
I have? No.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "What part of your glove compartment box isn't full?" Yeah, so
Here's what someone
didn't
says
go to
glove
jail,
box,
but she,
someone else says trunk.
when you have to go on a payment plan for parking tickets, you're probably excessive.
But even
and
at
in the city
that
of Philadelphia, they'll boot you.
Yeah.
Here they won't boot you, but in the city of Philadelphia, I mean, you see
Like
parking
Homer
warrants.
drive-
That's how.
away.
That's how you have to move to Delco because they boot you. No.
But even at that level, you will not get
you're not
arrested.
going to
for
go to
parking.
jail.
There you
Well, they
go.
want their money. They're not going
Yeah.
to put you in jail. They want to get their
Right.
money.
I mean, it's at some point, does it become a crime? I mean, maybe it becomes contempt of court, possibly.
So, and the other thing I did was I put together a couple of the strangest laws that are still on the books of PA. By the way, where can somebody find all these weird ass laws? Is there a great big book of laws in PA?
No, what happens is each town has their own laws.
Oh, my
each county
God.
has their own laws. Then the state has its laws. I mean, the amount of laws that get passed. I mean, when somebody's like, the U.S. House of Representatives has been unable to do anything for the last month, you're like, oh, thank God. I mean, sometimes it's better when they can't, and that's they can't write laws, because I just feel like when we have professional politicians, then and legislators, their job is to create laws. So what do? They write laws for a living. So you know how like I BS for a living, you do sound for a living.
On occasion.
You teach and do technical direction for a living. These people, they write laws, and we pay them lots of money to write laws that most of
sounds
us are not going
horrible.
to follow. But
That sounds.
Because I believe
but you can go online. Every town has their laws online, their ordinances, as they're called.
one of the weird ones that I know about Philly, at least up until recently, I don't know if they changed it, is that we're one of the few major cities that you can actually still own a horse and stable it in your city.
What?
Yeah,
You can have a horse in the city?
You can, as long as you are because you'll obviously get checked and all that stuff to make sure.
Yeah.
But in fact, at my old house before I moved to where I am now, around the corner for a long time, somebody had a horse that they stabled outside in their back of their house. Like they had a stable, and because it's a colonial city, for the longest times they kept it on the books. Like they would bring it up and they're like, we're not taking this because it's a colonial
might need a
city.
horse.
Like
Could you take could he take it out on the streets?
I don't know about like most streets. I mean, I imagine you could probably take it down to Old City where the cobblestones are
Yeah.
because
That's the first thing I thought.
But also, like Pennypack Park, people ride horses in Pennypack Park all the time. Because there's like horse trails and then there's regular trails. Like it being I believe it's the largest park system in the country, if not the world.
Fairmount Park is the largest urban park. It beats
Yeah,
Central Park
and-
by quite a bit.
by it's not like the most condensed like Central Park is, but like
But acreage wise.
Pennypack Park will go from like northeast Philly. Like if you follow it all
up to
around,
Abington.
it's ridiculously huge. So but there's horse trails in there. Fairmount Park, there's horse
The
trails. In
Hicken Trail. Yeah,
yeah, like so like it's like
people still have horses. I don't know where they are now, but like
there are stables. I mean, there are stables like actual places. I mean, Ridley Creek, you can stable your horse. There's certainly
I've
towns
seen that,
in Delaware County where as long as you have the acreage, you can.
Oh, I know they're all over the place in Chester County.
I mean,
I've seen them there.
And then there's the police stables. Like they have to stable them in Pennypack. There's one in Northeast in the Pennypack Park, like right around the corner from where I am.
No shit.
But it's like because it's a colonial town. I want to say the other one is Boston, but I could be incorrect. That you can still stable a horse in the city. But that, like I said, that could have changed recently. But as of like I want to say 2016, because that's when the person that I knew passed away and their family sold the horse. So that's the last time I had a horse in my neighborhood.
So I see the one about fireworks stores cannot sell fireworks of residents of Pennsylvania. So that was true for a while. We changed the law.
Wait, we can buy our own fireworks now?
Yes.
When did that happen?
Right around COVID time.
Now Carl's
Now there's
fake
certain
ID
rules about
business is gonna
distances
That's
from
why
houses.
I have two fingers left I got to blow off.
Yeah. I did that with Into the Woods. So I remember we did Into the Woods, and we had a little bit of flash powder left, and we're like, well, it's unstable. We can't keep it. So we packed the flash thing, and we blew the hinges off. Like the thing was hinged down because that's what you do in theater. You hinge it and blew them off, and the paper mache went everywhere. And I just remember the director getting on the comm saying, "I'm not amused." We were cracking up because it blew. I mean, I've never. You know how the flash thing is basically a tube. It's a metal tube. Well, we busted open. Like
It was like a blunderbuss by the time you were done.
And the poor woman,
like Bugs Bunny.
the poor girl blew the witch because we had her little cane and it had like buttons, and there was a flash cube that did the buttons.
And it was probably the last show of the run.
Oh yeah, it was the last thing.
Oh yeah, I mean you gotta get rid of it.
We had to get rid of it.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. We were doing Addams Family 2014 opening show of the 2014 season, and we it was really good. And we had like, what do you call it? Fog, like what low-lying fog, dry ice, and we still had
You
a
can get
pit.
dry ice attachments, for chemical foggers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a little cage that goes on the outside to try, and it doesn't really work well. It's much better to have the 50-gallon drum with the little. We call them R2D2.
With the little pellet sometimes and whatever.
pellet,
Well,
yeah.
however
You
we
got
did it,
how
I
you
can't
do it.
remember. It was the last show, and we had overstocked what we needed for the dry ice. So Tim's on comms.
It's hard to turn dry off that shit off. Just so you know.
So the opening scene is with Jenny Eisenhower and Jeff Kuhn as like Morticia and Gomez, and Tim's on comms. He goes, "Put them all in." and whoever it was, I forget who it was backstage. It might have been Twarnicki. Everybody's just like, "Do what? Do what now?" Because it's the last show. Put them all in. They go, "Okay."
Stage manager's telling us.
And they almost fucking killed the pit because all of it. First of all, it was this thick.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it looked amazing. It looked like a Prince video. It was amazing, but it all filtered down into what we still had as a real pit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's all CO2. there's no oxygen.
It's just down there looking like Bane.
There's no oxygen. So we had one. What show was it? Oh, Brigadoon.
Oh, you have to have it for Brigadoon.
Right. So
it
we
comes
had
out of the mist.
and then we shot it out into the basement. So we had two tubes, and we basically had baffles, and so when we were done. Because you can't control dry, like you put it in and you just hope that it gets cool enough. So you never know. So the stage manager would be like, cut, and we would turn the baffle off on one side, open the other one, and smoke out the heater room in the basement. Because we tried to do it we did it out in the driveway once. We just shot it out the back door of the theater once into the alley. Well, people called. They're like, the theater's burning. So we had to then pipe it all the way
it's
down.
just low lying.
Yeah.
We're good.
Oh, it was not low lying shootout. Yeah. so we had
That's
to
when
shoot it down.
Carl was probably the one who called you in. He was at the post office next door, and he's
It could have been, but I mean, I
back
just
then,
remember
yeah,
all
I
of a sudden
was still
we hear a knock on the back door, and we open up,
Fire
and there,
department.
it's like 3 firemen in fully gaze, like, is there a fire in there? I'm like, no, just dry ice, and I'm trying to close the door because I'm like, there's a show going on. Well, we were reported. I'm like, oh crap, no, this is what we do. So he's like, can you get a longer tube and do it somewhere else? So yeah, we shot it into the basement, and then it started creeping out of the stage because there were a lot of. So we would find out where all the holes were in the stage.
There's
and
a lot of gaff tape.
Yeah, and it would actually go into the lower men's dressing room on the stage left side, which was
that's
our
not
men's
good
dressing
at
room.
all.
Yeah, so like it just went everywhere, but it got off the stage.
well, that's where the non-equity guys go.
Right. Yeah. Well, I always thought that's where my kids were for Sound of Music, and I was like, Lee, could we move the arc welder maybe and the tanks? I guess so.
Yeah, can we not set the basement on
Yeah.
fire?
Can we not set the? Yeah. Oh yeah. He set the. So we're doing Moana last spring, and all of a sudden we're like, and the kids
Speaking
like,
of arson.
the theater's on fire. And we're like, no, we go out. He's welding, and right there on the edge of the platform, and the leaves are burning, and the smoke is going down below while the heater's on. So it gets sucked into this heating
And
system.
boy, do you pick up the smell of smoke so fast.
quick. Like, especially when it's coming out of every orifice of the heating system, which is all those holes underneath every seat. So we're like, it kind of gave a good Moana smell, like it smelled like the island. But, trying to convince the kids that no, we're not on fire. It's just Mr. Lee burning, welding, whatever. I can't even
We
remember
could do
what
a factory theater in that. We could just put something stinky down there.
Didn't they have that in like the 50s where they like had things on your seat that made it
Smell-o-vision?
vibrate? Yeah, smell.
In the 90s was the last time I had something like, I went to Disney and there was like 4D Honey I Shrunk the Kids. So they had all the like smells and all this
Right.
stuff, and I had like this terrible sunburn, and they had something shoot out underneath the thing that would like pretend to be rats, and it like hit the back of my legs, and I was like, holy crap, but yeah, no.
Because they had that, I think it's the alien one, and they have air that blows into like the aliens right
Yeah.
up against you. Yeah, that freaked me
God,
out.
have you seen the pictures of the sphere over in Nevada, over in Las Vegas, like that big the U2's playing at?
Yeah.
That thing looks amazing. Have you seen that yet?
I love that people will do Photoshop over top of it. Like the week after, they're like, "Up, it's already broken," and someone photoshopped 404 not found. Oh my god, it's this big blue screen of death. I was like, "That's amazing." Then somebody was like, "It's got to be an eyeball at some point." Like,
Well, it's a what do you call it? It trolls people in the beginning of the day. It's a great big smiley face. It's like the size of like the courthouse. It's huge. It's like 50,000 feet. It's a big sphere.
Like bigger
it's
than
got-
Epcot's.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
definitely. And it's got like 80,000 high-res screens on the inside and outside.
Yeah.
Or some crazy.
it's
number.
insane, and like it's just. It's funny because you can see it from one of the golf courses because they'll show it like videos of like people
Las Vegas is
teeing
very
off.
flat out there.
But they'll say like you'll see pictures of people teeing off and you just see this big orb in the back and you're like, I don't know how you.
Brother's watching you.
Well, and sometimes it's the face, and the face. If I don't know how the guy's doing it, but it'll troll the guy golfing. It'll watch it and it'll go.
Oh,
Let me see if I can find a picture of it for a quick second. Well, I mean, we've that's pretty much most of the news that isn't, guys. I mean, you got anything to promote?
Promoting? No, I mean because.
well, we have Mary Poppins coming up at the theater. Not to be shameless promotion, and Finding Nemo, two very good actors in that.
That's a sphere. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
really crazy.
So if you're starting December, come see Mary Poppins, Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Come to the prom tomorrow.
Last show.
We have a Winter Musicale the weekend of Thanksgiving. 3 shows, and we have a wheel.
3?
Yeah, I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
And we have a Wheel of Fortune. You can spin 2 spins for $10 and maybe get some free tickets to.
Oh, I didn't know it was 2 spins for $10. I
Yeah,
thought it was a
2
single one. Oh, that's a
Yeah, 2
bargain.
spins for $10. In fact, 2 people today at the parade won $40 tickets. So $80 in tickets for $10, and they're going to come see.
Yeah, I hope
Mary
somebody got
Poppins.
some pictures of the parade because I
Yes.
walked along with the kids.
Oh, I saw the picture
Yeah,
of you
yeah.
in your
Star Trek.
blue
yeah,
sock
yeah.
shirt.
Yeah. Science officer number 2. I need like a
Number
cheesesteak.
2.
Oh,
You die second instead of first.
I do have my high school. We're in the weekend before Thanksgiving. We're doing Puffs, which is the unofficial Harry Potter drama. It's all about the Hufflepuff house. It's 7 years at the school. I don't know how they say it, but it's all about the Hufflepuffs, and it's literally like while Harry Potter's there, but like they're dealing with all the residual stuff and.
Oh my God, they're picking up all the pieces that happened.
subplot.
But also, like they have a theme.
not all
Like
about
they don't
Slytherin and
they don't care
Gryffindor.
about winning the House Cup. Their motto is third or nothing. Like they just want to come in third place. They don't want to be last place. But it's actually it's a very
Let Slytherin be
but
last.
it's very unofficial. So they don't ever actually say like Hufflepuff or Gryffindor. Like it's like Gryffindor is the Braves and Slytherin is the Snakes and the Smarts and the Puffs and like and then like I forget like all the different names of the people, but it's hilarious if it's done right, and this is a good group of kids. So we're in the process. I finally finished all the building. Now it's just set dressing. And
The Puffs.
yeah, but it's good. It's a fun.
Carl, would you have been a Hufflepuff? Have you done that on the online?
5 points Gryffindor. I would have been Gryffindor probably. I think.
I have done it. I keep getting Gryffindor, but I feel like I'm more of like for
Ravenclaw.
No, I feel like if
How do I know this?
if you're deep into the Harry Potter, I feel like I'm on the Neville and Ron side of Gryffindor, which is more they probably should have been Hufflepuffs, but they wound up in Gryffindor. Like I feel like that. I have a whole theory
An
about.
imposter.
I have a whole theory about Harry Potter in the house and Gryffindor, but I don't know if you have the time for my theory.
All right, go ahead. We'll end with the theory. What's your theory?
Very much my theory is I don't think that you actually get picked for Gryffindor. I think you have to pick Gryffindor. So if you look at the main three characters, Harry in the book is very explicitly told that he could be in Slytherin. And he keeps saying, not Slytherin, not Slytherin.
Oh, yeah, he says that when they put the hat
Yeah,
on him. Yeah.
and Hermione is very much could have easily been put in Ravenclaw. And Ron could have easily been put in Hufflepuff.
It's the nerdiest we've ever done. Go on.
I could get way nerdier if we talk about Star Wars, but we have never gone to those discussions.
You know
We've
what?
not gone to the.
But I still want to do the old guy sci-fi if we ever get a chance to sit down and like do that podcast. Because the old guy sci-fi, we could talk for I could just be like The Thing. Let's go. Anyway, but then finish your thing.
But I think that for Gryffindor, because their trait is bravery, that you have to choose to be in Gryffindor. Like
You have to
okay.
show bravery.
you have to show like just bravery enough to be like, hey, this hat is telling you you're going to be in one, but you're saying you want to be in here, so you have at least some inherent bravery to go against what already the first authority that you're dealing with in the school. So that's my theory.
Oh, you know what? I should give you some terrible candy to give to your kids. Hold on. Entertain him for a second. This shit, Amy got me this from, she just won, I told you she just got what's his name? Businesswoman of the Year.
Oh, right.
She gave me a big bag of candy, and it's all terrible.
Always terrible candy. Carl can't get any good candy. But I've always had that theory. I mean, as a person who read it, I'm also, while I'm still angry that Harry with all of his... as a person who read all the books, Harry with all of his kids couldn't name one of them after Hagrid. That pisses me off to no end. But yeah, I'm trying to kill time with my Harry Potter theories.
Hey, Star Wars.
Well, Star Wars. Don't get me started.
So yeah, Amy gave me all
You got
this
another
stuff,
two?
and it's terrible candy, but your kids might like it. So this one is a slime liquor, which I'm not going to do, and here I believe is a toxic waste blue slime liquor,
well, don't
courtesy of Game On State.
Don't throw it out the window because you might get arrested for your litter.
I'm not trying it, but
Is that a
I don't know.
bingo dauber?
It's just B42.
Sour rolling liquid candy.
I can't believe you're trying. Oh shit!
Oh, that's
Better
good.
or worse than the soda?
Better, a little bit better than but not by much.
Well, she also gave me these. These are terrible. I tried these with Pam the other day. They are gummy eyeball. You guys saw them. They're gummy eyeballs.
Because this might be no. But I'm doing Feely boxes for Will's Halloween thing on Tuesday, and I usually use grapes. Like I usually use like shaved
How
grape.
great would that be if they like have a
An
bunch
actual
of grapes?
eyeball. Do you have a second one?
I think I do.
two
I think I can
eyeballs.
find, but
What
these
is
are
that?
these are trolley electric. Wait, what are they? It's
Trolley, yeah.
trolley electric
Electric
things.
crawlers.
How great would it be though if it was
Yeah,
a
with an
Pop
actual
Rocks?
eyeball.
Well, I can't do Pop Rocks. I drink too much soda.
Oh my word, Pop Rocks! I remember if you drink, I remember seagulls. If you give it to seagulls, they would blow up. Oh no, Alka-Seltzer, right?
Alka-Seltzer. Now that
There's
is
little planets.
that is actually true about Alka-Seltzer
Yeah.
with seagulls because my uncle who was in the Coast Guard said that that's actually how they would clear seagulls.
No.
They would throw because like he's
But
in
what
the
about the
Coast
seagull
Guard.
from Nemo?
Well, the seagulls from Nemo were pretty annoying. It was the pelican. But like they would be at something where they couldn't have seagulls around, like they were circling, and they would just throw it on the
Oh,
seltzer in there.
I think these are butter beans.
30 bots, every flavor. No.
Isn't that something
The
Harry Potter is?
butter beer. That is a Harry Potter. It says it right there. It is officially branded. JK can.
Wax lips.
Oh my God!
Like wax. Yeah, it's good to see you.
So she just gave you a bag of candy?
Yeah.
Is it like
She's-
outdated?
No. She's just a sweetheart. She's like super nice. Oh, look at these from when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
I mean, these are.
What about the
ancient.
roll of gum? Remember the
Oh, fruit by the foot. I'm not fruit.
They've got a
but
modern
like fruit by
version
the
in it right here, I think. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Maybe I do.
Is
Candy
this
cigarettes.
the video game store on state?
Yes.
I love that place.
It is great.
It's awesome. Pop Rocks.
That is where I bought. I had just bought a Game Boy Advance.
Dots.
Oh, dots.
That one we had the candy. That was the one candy I had because it was the huge one.
Yeah.
And we had to remember that the paper to candy ratio had to be right.
Oh yeah, you have to. You can't unless you wet it down. That was the only way to really do it. But because the new ones come off really clean, and that's not how that.
No,
game
you gotta
is
have
played.
some
You gotta have
paper.
some paper.
Yeah.
That's how you get your fiber while you're eating your candy.
Take them home to the kids. They'll enjoy it. Oh, some of them
I
fell
just
out.
dropped the worm.
Oh, well.
I just let the worm out of the bag.
Oh well.
There you go, worms.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I might use this for the Feely box.
Well, what would be even funnier is if you actually do have all the grapes, but like they'll feel those, so they might have some grapes in their hand, but then they like actually see the
Right.
eyes looking up at them. They're like, "Oh yeah, no,
that
funny
is
grape.
good.
Oh no, eyes."
Oh, that'd be terrible if you. No, these are all grapes, and one of them wasn't. Just the texture and everything that wouldn't be right. Oh, that'd be horrible.
And what if they just like
Oh.
like they were like, "I'm just gonna eat this without looking."
Oh no, that'd be terrible. Oh yeah, I did that with Pam.
Well,
We
it's
had
not eating. It's just a Feely box.
Insert dye into it, so like if they
no, it's got blood in it.
oh,
Does
Yeah.
it?
Well, I mean, not blood,
But if they squeeze hard enough, it'll.
yeah, when you bite into it, like blood comes
that's
out.
amazing.
Oh,
These kids are gonna be traumatized. That's amazing.
Listen,
Is this the world though?
there's
Yeah.
the whole world inside. Now, what comes out of that?
I don't know.
Lava?
Magma.
No,
Magma.
knowing history, a lot of blood is
$1 million.
And there's a rip. I don't know what rip rolls are. That's like
Never
fruit by
gonna
the
get
foot, right?
Never gonna get you.
You know, I read somewhere.
It's licorice.
I read somewhere that if you take that song and remove the "Never Gonna" and just make it the other way, it becomes a Trent Reznor song. I'm going to give you up. I'm going to let you down.
It's fat
I'm going to
free.
run around. I'm going to hurt you. It's a terrible Nine Inch Nails song.
Speaking of viral songs, did you see that the song that the Phillies played after the game?
Oh, I hear people are done with that
no,
shit.
but because of the past 2 years, that song has been streamed over 1 billion times, and the singer like thanked the Philly fans. He's like, "It's 1 billion times. Like no matter how much you get paid per stream, you just 1 billion
Even if
times."
it's $1.
Yeah, what's a billion? I mean, let's say it's like one half of a penny per play. What's 1 billion times 0.5 cents? Alexa, what's 1 billion times 0.5 cents?
I didn't get that.
Shut up.
What?
0.5 cents.
1 billion times 0.50 United States pennies is 500 million United States pennies.
So yeah, that's
So, but how much
Pennies.
is
So then.
Alexa? How much is 500 million
5 million.
pennies? Wait, 5 million? I thought 5.
500 million United States pennies is 5 million US dollars.
Yes. You take 2 zeros off.
Is that all you do?
Yes. Because it's 100 pennies to $1.
There are.
I'm telling you.
Math is hard, Barbie.
Ah.
Gentlemen, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Hope they had fun, even though they had to chase it down on another.
I
show.
didn't say mothball during the entire time.
Mothballs. Oh, next time you swing by, I'll have some of the freeze-dried treats. In fact, I could have brought. I was over there today when you guys were at Jocko.
Yeah.
Took out a mortgage to have their like lunch.
Aw, it's good food though.
It better be.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I'll pay good money for good food.
Their
I just,
their pork tacos really
you know what?
and their hipster,
I tried it
and-
when it first started, so I'll give it another chance.
give it another chance.
It was like literally 10 years ago or something, and I'm just like, and I
no.
went in for like
And the
three
people there are
tacos,
very nice
and three
as well.
like 3 tacos and 3 smoothies, and it was like $60, and I was like, get the fuck out of
You're
here.
talking the wrong person here. While I was here for my 1 year, I went to Pinocchio's all the time, Wawa with Carl, or I would go to the other pizza place.
Yeah,
because it
oddly
was
enough, he
closer.
never went to John's. He never went to John's with us.
My whole thing is, and I went maybe twice, but my whole thing is I don't like to drive home after I've been drinking, because I
You
have
had a
such
long drive, too.
Because even now my stop on 95, like if I'm driving up 95, is is the last stop in Philly. So I was just like, I was like, I would get tired, and I was like, I don't want to get even more tired.
Well,
'cause
see
I
what a
would drink.
responsible guy. Knows the theater, responsible guy. What do you think about executive director?
Me? I am wildly not qualified.
The bar is low. So anyway, hey everybody.
Even knowing the bar.
And on that note, say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch up with you next week. I'm sure I have a guest or something.
Or you're
We'll-
going to guess
wanna
one.
know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. You don't wanna know how it feels. I would never wish that on you. No, no, no. How it feels. feels. Yeah, you don't know how it feels. Now I said, thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Delco quarantine open mic. Delco quarantine open mic. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Turn until Delco late night. Right, Carl and all these other dudes. I don't know. They be talking crazy shit. Last time it was about a snowblower. Carl. Crashed his bike. Yeah, his knee was torn up. I never seen. Nah, psych. I seen worse. He's alright. But check out Carl. Delco late night quarantine open mic. Alright. Thank you. I could play that all night.